A poor single waitress saved a dying man in an alley not knowing he is a CEO. But as her trembling hands pressed against his bleeding chest, praying he wouldn't die in her arms, she had no idea this poor single waitress and this dying CEO were about to rewrite both their destinies. She was exhausted from life, barely surviving. A struggling poor single waitress fighting bills and motherhood alone, but still stopping to save a stranger in a cold alley. And he, this silent stranger gasping for air, wasn't just any man. He was a powerful CEO with a secret life, a CEO whose empire could buy the whole block she lived on, a CEO now helpless in front of a woman society ignored. But why was a CEO bleeding in a dark alley like a forgotten soul? Why would fate bring a poor single waitress and a dying CEO together in a moment so raw, so dangerous, so life-changing? And when this CEO wakes up, what will he do to repay the poor single waitress who saved his life? Will her kindness shake the world, or will it destroy her peace forever? Rain fell like shattered glass, slicing through the biting November wind as Ava Carter hurried down the narrow back street behind Monroe's diner. Her faded sneakers slapped against soaked pavement, her thin coat useless against the cold. A poor single waitress with a 5-year-old daughter waiting at home. She had closed the diner alone again, washing dishes until her back ached and her fingertips wrinkled. The neon sign buzzed behind her, flickering like her own tired spirit. She hugged herself tighter, whispering, "Just get home. Lily's waiting." Lily, the only reason she kept breathing, the only light left after life ripped everything else away. Ava had once dreamed brightly. College brochures, nursing school applications, but dreams didn't pay rent, and dreams didn't stop a man's betrayal. Her ex disappeared when she got pregnant, leaving her a poor single waitress raising a child alone. And tonight felt like every night, hard, cold, hopeless. Then she heard it. A groan, low, painful. Not the drunk rustle of alley shadows, but a plea. A human breaking. She froze. Every self-preservation instinct screamed walk away. The world wasn't kind to poor single mothers. Danger meant Lily could become motherless. But something heavier than fear tugged her forward. Humanity, compassion, stubborn heart. Her shoes splashed into a puddle as she turned toward the sound. And there he was. A man slumped beside a dumpster, rain pooling around him, one hand gripping his stomach where crimson trickled through his fingers. He looked expensive even in pain. Tailored coat, cufflinks glinting under streetlight. But soaked and trembling, he looked like a dying soul who had fallen from the top of the world onto concrete. "Sir? Sir, can you hear me?" Ava's voice shook, his eyelids fluttered. His breath rattled, shallow, desperate. Blood smeared the pavement like a dark whisper. A rational person would call 911 and leave. A single mother definitely should. But kindness wasn't rational. Ava dropped to her knees, mud soaking into her tights. "Stay with me," she murmured, pressing her hands against his injury. Warm blood coated her skin instantly. She swallowed panic. "You're going to be okay." He tried to speak, voice raw. "Phone, wallet, taken, robbed, attacked, left to die." Lightning flashed overhead, illuminating the jagged pain etched in his face. His features, strong jaw, elegant cheekbones, hair matted but clearly once meticulously styled, belonged to someone important. Someone used to commanding rooms, not begging for life in an alley. A CEO. She didn't know it yet, but something about his presence felt powerful, even broken. "Don't talk," she whispered. "Save your strength," she called 911, voice cracking. "Yes, I found a man, he's hurt, he's bleeding badly, please hurry." Her phone battery blinked 2%. She cursed internally. Thunder rolled. The man's breathing hitched. "Why? Help? Me?" Ava blinked rain and tears together. "Because you're human. Because someone needs you. Because," she choked, "if it were me, I'd want someone to stop." Not for the first time, she wondered if anyone would stop for her. For Lily. The man stared at her through pain-blurred vision, eyes dark and searching, as if trying to memorize her soul. Sirens wailed faintly in the distance. Relief surged, but fear snapped at her ankles as if fate whispered, "This moment changes everything." The man's fingers twitched, brushing hers. A silent thank you. His breathing slowed. Ava leaned closer, terrified. Hey, don't you dare!" "Stay with me." "Do you have a family?" "Someone who needs you?" His lips parted. Barely audible. "No one. Believed." In me, her heart twisted. She understood that ache too well. The ambulance screeched to a stop. Paramedics rushed. They lifted him. Oxygen mask, IV, urgent command slicing the night. "You saved him," one paramedic said. Most people walk by scenes like this. She didn't feel heroic. She felt cold, scared, changed. As they loaded him in, he fought to open his eyes. He stared at her one last time, silent, intense, as if promising something she couldn't yet understand. And just like that, he vanished behind closing doors and flashing lights. Ava stood alone in the storm, soaked in blood and uncertainty, heart hammering. Who was he? Why was he attacked? And what future had she just stepped into by saving a stranger's life in an alley? Lightning boomed again and she whispered into the rain, "Please, let this mean something." She had no idea that the dying CEO she saved would soon turn her entire world upside down and repay her kindness in a way that would shock everyone. The hospital hallway smelled like antiseptic and quiet prayers. Ava stood curled into herself, damp jeans clinging to chilled legs, her thrift store coat dripping puddles onto polished floors. They'd taken him straight into emergency surgery. She wasn't family. She wasn't anything. Just a poor single waitress who refused to walk past a dying man. A nurse approached, polite smile strained by exhaustion. "Ma'am, you can't wait here unless you're related." Ava's stomach dipped. She wasn't. She had no name, no story to offer. "I just want to know if he's okay." The nurse softened. "You did a brave thing." Then she moved off, charts in hand, crisis after crisis to tend to. Ava sat, shivering, clutching her phone. 1% battery. Text from her neighbor popped up. "Lily asleep. Don't worry. Good." Lily was safe. Her sweet baby girl with curls like sunshine and eyes too wise for 5. Lily, who once asked, "Mommy, why do we have to be poor? Did we do something bad?" Ava blinked away tears. No child should learn struggle that young. No mother should feel like she was failing daily. "He better live," she whispered internally. "If I risked everything tonight, let it count." An hour crawled by. Then another. The rain stopped outside, leaving, windows streaked and reflecting fluorescent loneliness. She stood to leave. She had work in 6 hours, an aching back, rent due soon. But footsteps echoed behind her. "Miss?" A doctor in blue scrubs approached. "The man you brought in, he's stable. You saved him." Ava exhaled like she'd been underwater. Relief flooded her body so sharply she nearly swayed. "Can I see him?" The doctor hesitated. "He's unconscious, but you can sit for a moment." Room 318 was dim, machines pulsing steady life into the air. There he lay, bandaged, pale, oxygen tube resting beneath a strong nose, monitors tracing fragile beats. Without blood and rain, he looked regal, like someone from another world. Ava moved closer. He looked powerful, even broken, jaw carved with control, hands calloused from work, not softness, hair once styled now mussed across the pillow like a fallen king. A CEO, though she still didn't know. A man who had everything, or once did. She whispered uncertainly, "Hey, I'm glad you made it." He didn't stir, but the machine beeped steadily. Her fingertips brushed the bed rail, nervous, humble, reverent. "I'm sorry I can't stay. I have a daughter and rent and life." Without warning, his fingers twitched. She froze. Then his eyelids lifted, slow and heavy like someone waking from a nightmare. His gaze, dark, intense, intelligent, landed on her. He studied her like he remembered every second in that alley. "You," he rasped, voice hoarse, rough, expensive, even broken. Ava swallowed. "Yeah, you're alive. That's good." He blinked hard, pain tightening his features. "You saved me." Her cheeks flushed. "I just couldn't walk away." Silence stretched. Not awkward. Heavy, loaded with something she couldn't name. "Who are you?" he asked, searching her face like her identity mattered. "Ava. Ava Carter." His brows knit. "Why risk yourself?" It was an alley. Alone. Dangerous. She looked down at her shoes. "Because no one should die alone in the dark." And because I hope, if life ever breaks me in an alley someday, someone will stop. His throat worked. Something flickered in his eyes. Gratitude, shock, respect, maybe grief. You shouldn't have had to be the one to save me, he murmured, voice thick, almost angry at fate. The world should have been protecting you, not the other way around. It hit her unexpectedly. Kindness, from a stranger. A dying CEO she didn't know yet. I don't need protecting, she said too quickly. Pride covered vulnerability like duct tape on glass. He winced as he shifted. Everyone does. Before she could respond, a nurse entered. Sir, you need rest. She gave Ava a kind nod. Time to go, Ava stood. I'm glad you're alive. I really am. Just get better. Ava. She paused at the door. He looked at her like she was a lifeline in a storm only he could see. What's your daughter's name? Her heart hiccuped. Lily. He nodded slowly as if filing it in a vault. Lily has a brave mother. No one had ever said something like that to her. Ever. A single tear threatened. She blinked it back. Goodbye. Take care. As she turned, she heard his voice, weak but determined. A vow disguised as breath. We're not done. The hallway swallowed her. She exhaled shakily. He can't mean anything by that, she told herself. Just a man waking from trauma. But deep in her gut, the world felt like it had shifted a fraction. Just enough that fate whispered again, nothing will ever be the same. She left the hospital into cold morning air, unaware that the CEO she saved was already pulling strings, already ordering his assistant to find her, already planning something world-shaking to repay her kindness. And the world would soon ask, who is the poor single waitress who saved him? Why her? Why now? Ava didn't know it yet, but her quiet life was about to collide with power, wealth, danger, and gratitude so profound it would change everything. The next morning, sunlight spilled through Ava's thin curtains like a shy hope. She stood at the stove in her tiny apartment, flipping pancakes made from the last scoop of batter. Lily, still in pajamas covered with tiny stars, sat at the wobbly kitchen table swinging her legs and humming off-key. Mommy, the pancakes smell happy. Lily beamed, curls bouncing. Ava smiled softly. Well, somebody needs to smell happy around here. Truth was, her body ached from last night. Knees bruised from concrete. Mind stuck replaying a stranger's eyes, a CEO's eyes, looking at her like she mattered. We're not done. His rasped promise echoed in her bones. She shook her head. Impossible. He wouldn't remember her. Why would someone like him care? Life didn't work like fairy tales. Especially not for a poor single waitress scraping through life with coupons and exhaustion. A knock broke her thoughts. Unexpected. Firm. Official sounding. Her stomach clenched. Landlord, rent wasn't due yet. Bill collector. Dear God, not another one. She opened the door a crack, then froze. A man in a tailored suit stood there, posture crisp, expression neutral. He looked like he stepped out of a finance magazine and onto her cracked welcome mat. Behind him, a sleek black car idled at the curb, glossy enough to reflect the peeling paint of her apartment building like an insult. Ava Carter? He asked. Her pulse jumped. Yes? He nodded respectfully. Ms. Carter, Mr. Everett Hale would like to see you. Everett Hale. The CEO. The dying man she saved. The man whose voice had wrapped around her name like it meant something. Ava blinked. How did you... We traced the emergency call location and requested hospital footage. He insisted. She looked down at herself, wrinkled uniform pants, faded hoodie. She wasn't ready for this. She wasn't ready for any world where CEOs sent black cars to fetch poor single waitresses. Lily peeked from behind her leg. Mommy, who's he? The man softened only a little. Someone your mommy helped. Someone very grateful. Ava's instincts flared. Poor people learn to distrust good fortune. It often came with strings. Especially when her daughter was involved. I have work, she stammered. And my child, we've arranged a sitter and your workplace has been notified. She stiffened. You called my job? Yes, no apology. He wants to thank you in person. The words tasted unreal. Lily tugged her sleeve. Is he a superhero? Ava knelt to her. No, baby. He's someone Mommy helped last night. Lily nodded in solemn kid wisdom. Then go help him more. Ava hugged her daughter tight. Pride and fear tangled in her chest. She didn't trust rich world promises, but she needed answers. Needed closure. Needed to know why fate had chosen her alley, her hands, her life to intersect with his. Okay, she whispered. Let me change. Minutes later, she stepped into the crisp morning air wearing her cleanest clothes. Still humble, still simple, but the best she had. The car door opened. She slid inside. Leather seats swallowed her like luxury was trying to understand her. As they drove through the city, it felt like she was floating between two universes. Her world of bills, broken elevators, and secondhand dreams, and his world of glass towers, power, and influence. They arrived at Devereaux Tower, 60 floors of steel and ambition piercing the sky. People in suits swept past, heels clicking like fate was marching. The assistant guided her to a private elevator. It rose in silence, her stomach twisting tighter with every floor. Floor 60, executive world. The doors opened into an office that looked like a movie scene. Floor-to-ceiling windows, skyline glittering, air thick with control and money. And there he was. Everett Hale. Standing near the window, dressed in a dark sweater instead of a hospital gown, but still pale, still bandaged, still striking. Strength in recovery, power humbled by vulnerability. He turned. Their eyes met. Something unspoken passed between them. Recognition, gratitude, fate breathing softly between two strangers tied by blood not shared but spilled. Ava, he said, voice steadier today but still threaded with emotion. Her breath hitched. Hi. He studied her like she was the first real thing he'd seen in years. You came. You sent a car. A faint smile touched his lips, tired but sincere. You deserved more than a thank you card. Ava shifted uncomfortably. I didn't do it for anything. That's exactly why what you did matters. His gaze softened. People walk past. Every day. But you, someone with every reason to protect only yourself, you stopped. Her chest tightened. How did he see through her so fast? He motioned to a chair. She sat, awkward among furniture worth more than her yearly income. I want to help you, he said quietly. Her heart lurched. Help could be salvation or danger. I don't want charity. It's not charity, Everett replied, voice firm. It's repayment. And respect. The word felt foreign. Most people didn't even look at poor single waitresses. You don't even know me, she whispered. He stepped closer. Pain slowing him, but determination sharpening every line of his face. I know enough. Why were you in that alley? She asked suddenly. He froze. Something dark flickered in his eyes. Someone wanted me dead. The room chilled. The city outside glittered like a crown over a battlefield. And now, he continued, voice low, you may have saved more than a life. You may have changed the course of things neither of us can yet see. Ava swallowed hard. Fate was no longer whispering. It was knocking. Let me protect you, he said. Let me make your life easier. Her pulse raced. Why me? His answer was simple. True. Dangerous in its sincerity. Because you saw me when I was nothing. A silence fell. Thick. Alive. Electric. In that moment, Ava realized this wasn't gratitude. This was the beginning of something greater, deeper, and far more complicated. And the world outside, sharp and wealthy and ruthless, had no idea a poor single waitress had just stepped into its heart, dragging empathy, humility, and raw humanity behind her. Their lives were now braided by blood and fate. And nothing would be simple again. The next days unfolded like a dream Ava didn't trust enough to fully step into. Everett's world, with its polished floors, glass walls, and quiet power, kept brushing against hers like two timelines trying to merge. But she held tight to her identity. A poor single waitress, a mother, a survivor, because fairy tales always came with traps and reality always demanded rent. Yet something undeniable had shifted. Everett texted her once a simple safe, as if her safety mattered to him more than his own billion-dollar empire. His assistant left a card on her door for anything you need. And when she walked Lily to school, she caught herself glancing around, half expecting that black car again, half hoping. But life didn't pause because fate visited. The diner still needed her. Bills still pressed like hands around her throat. And Lily still asked for bedtime stories and hugs that stitched her broken pieces together each night. Still, every quiet moment between orders, her mind returned to Everett's eyes. Haunted, grateful, fierce, with a promise he hadn't yet spoken fully. One evening, after a long shift, she found him again. Not through fate, but because he called and asked gently, respectfully, if he could see her. If he could thank her again. If he could continue the conversation. She said yes before she realized her voice had answered for her heart. He met her at a modest riverside cafe. Nothing intimidating, nothing excessive. But his presence, even in a simple coat and scarf, still shifted gravity around him. When he stood as she approached, she felt suddenly breathless. "Ava," he greeted softly. "Everett," she replied, hugging her coat to herself like a shield. They sat. The air between them felt warm this time. Familiar. Not equal, but aligned. Two worlds cautiously reaching across the divide. He studied her, really studied, like she was a key to something he'd lost long ago. "You look tired," he said gently. She huffed a soft, tired laugh. Single mom life, plus saving CEOs in alleys. Not great for beauty sleep, his lips curved. That rare, delicate smile she was starting to recognize as something sacred, something he didn't give freely. "Do you regret helping me?" he asked. The question hung heavy. She shook her head. "No, I regret the world makes moments like that exist." But not stopping, his gaze deepened. "This city forgot kindness. You reminded me it isn't dead." "Kindness doesn't pay rent," she whispered. He didn't flinch. "No, but it builds worlds and saves lives." A silence followed, full but fragile. Then he leaned forward slightly, voice low. "Everything changed for me that night." She swallowed. "Someone tried to kill you?" "Yes, and when I had everything, I realized none of it mattered in that alley." His voice cracked just enough to reveal the fracture. "All my power, all my wealth, and I was nothing but a dying man. And you, someone the world should have been uplifting, were the one who saved me." She looked down. Compliments felt foreign, heavy, like gifts she hadn't earned. "I'm not a hero," she murmured. "You're more," he said. "You're good." A small, dangerous warmth bloomed in her chest. But she shook her head. "People don't notice good. They notice money, status. And I have both," he replied softly. "But I would have died without you." Her breath hitched. Truth never sounded so sharp. He exhaled shakily. "Someone inside my world wants me gone. I don't know who yet. But I do know this: your life is in danger by connection alone." Fear cut through her like ice. "Lily, she's safe," he assured quickly. "I've already taken precautions." She stared at him. "You did what?" His jaw tightened. "I owe you protection." She recoiled slightly. "I don't want to be controlled." Pain flashed across his face. "Not control, safety," he paused. "I don't ever want you to feel alone again." That sentence, it pierced her deeper than she expected. No one had ever vowed she wouldn't be alone. Not a boyfriend. Not family. Not society. And yet here sat a man who nearly died in her hands, offering her something she'd stopped believing she deserved. Security. Not the romantic kind. The human kind. She leaned back, trembling. "Why does this feel like more than gratitude?" He held her gaze, nothing but truth reflected back. "Because it is." Her pulse staggered. Dangerous words. Beautiful ones, terrifying. "I don't need saving," she whispered. He nodded. "But you deserve a life where you don't always have to save yourself." Her eyes burned suddenly, unexpectedly. Tears threatened, traitorous. She looked away, breathing hard. "I'm scared. So am I." His voice softened. "But I'm not afraid of you. I'm afraid of losing the chance to repay light with light." Her heart stuttered. Fate didn't whisper anymore, it thundered. Outside, the river shimmered under city lights. Two worlds meeting where dark water kissed gold reflection. Just like them, finally she spoke, voice small but steady. "I don't want to be your project." "You're not," he said. "You're my reminder." "Reminder of what?" "That even kings bleed," he murmured, "and sometimes queens wear aprons." She laughed through tears. A sound of disbelief, fear, hope, all tangled. He stood slowly, pain evident but dignity sharper. "This isn't the end," he said softly. "It's only the beginning. You changed my life. Now I'm going to make sure yours rises, not breaks." What if I don't want rich world help? He held her eyes. Then I'll walk beside you in your world instead. Silence. Breathless. Holy. Two lives, colliding not by accident, but destiny. A poor single waitress. A CEO who almost died. A moment in an alley that rewrote their stories. And woven between them, danger, fate, and a spark neither of them asked for but both felt burning. Not love, not yet, but something forming, something future-shaped, something the world would never expect. Ava exhaled. What happens now? Everett's answer was simple and revolutionary. Whatever path you choose. But I will not walk away from the woman who chose to save me when my world abandoned me. In that moment she realized the truth. Sometimes the poorest heart gives the richest mercy, and sometimes the richest man learns his true wealth in the hands of someone who has nothing but humanity left to offer. Their story wasn't finished. It had just begun.